Thank you for joining us. Now, let's begin the show on a joyous mood when yours sincerely added another honor with the Prestige Excellence Award presented to me with the most outstanding, innovative, and resourceful broadcaster of the year. Babajide, we've lost track, and this award keeps coming on entered, and we hope that because of the pandemic in 2020, you weren't able to, surpass the milestone of 2019.
Definitely. I think with the award that I picked up in Kaba on Boxing Day, we ended up on 19. So we give God the glory. People appreciate what we do, and they will keep coming forward to tell us that they appreciate what we do, and that's what matters the most. To be appreciated by your colleagues and to get award from your own colleagues is the height of it. Because the Prestige Excellence Award is from our colleagues in the media sector.
Normally, when you get awards from your peers, that's when you know you've really done well, because they understand exactly what you are going through and the dynamics of getting the quality that you provide every weekday and now on Sundays. So congratulations. You know that the word for hard work is more work.
All right. One necessity, they say, breaks all the laws. As Nigeria continues to battle the Boko Haram insurgency to no end, the Christian Association of Nigeria, TAN, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to seek help from Israel, United States, and other countries during inauguration for a new national chairman for the youth wing. President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samson Ayokule, said the country appears overwhelmed, hence the need for help to end insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, ravaging the country. Babajide, this is the Christian Association of Nigeria. Last week when I saw the meeting with Sheikh Gome, when I saw the number of people seated in that meeting, when I saw the kind of problem we have, and I appreciated it, that it is not just what we've been talking about here. It's way, the audacity. The Nigeria.
He crossed his legs. And
and he brought his gun.
With your legs crossed and your gun in between those legs, you are saying that you can't be moved. You can't be moved. And they were so arrogant. If you understood also the way they were talking down the Katsina State governor, accusing him of reneging on his promise and all that. There is no excuse in the world to take to crime. There is no excuse in the world to be killing people the way these bandits are doing, and taking people as hostages, abducting people every day. Every day they're abducting people. Every day. And my fears I've expressed here before, because a lot of our people don't even know the severity of this problem. The problems we face...
You sit down in Lagos, you sit down in Abuja.
...are much bigger than we are prepared to admit. Even the government. A lot of people in government do not know the extent of this problem. How many people in government, for example, those who speak for the government, how many of them have visited the bandits den? How many of them have gone there? How many of them have seen these bandits eyeball to eyeball, have encountered them? How many of them? So they can sit in Abuja and come up with all kinds of funny theories, that, oh, this is political, these politicians who are behind this. We can no longer, you can see that the rate at which people were saying that has gone down.
No, this is not a movement.
They've seen that this is no longer something they can call something planned by politicians. So, and I appreciate Sheikh Gumi for going to that extent. And it is because there is a gap. You can see that government has not been able to solve the problem. This is a problem that can consume all of us. So
Already.
we have to move. However we can solve the problem, we have to solve this problem. Because look at one of the bandits saying that they can bring in people to make Nigeria ungovernable. They've always done that. There is a militia that is at their beck and call. In the conflict between herders and traders, that militia has always been useful. They just send for them to come and kill on their behalf. The militia is like, they are like contract killers. Once you send...
and nobody can stop them.
At least we have shown... Do you know my worry to so that we are not a serious people? All of those bandits that you see, people know their leaders. Since we said we've been attacking these bandits, we've not killed a single leader of the bandits. I've mentioned names of some of their leaders here on some occasions. They know the leaders because these guys have carved a kind of fiefdom for themselves in all of those areas. The one who is controlling the Niger area right up to the Katsina border, that is talking about Funtua, is Dogo Gide. Dogo Gide is a very young and handsome boy. He was one who killed Buhari Ndaji. You know Buhari Ndaji, the one that the Katsina governor snapped a photograph with, who was carrying an AK-47 near the governor. That picture that went viral, that is Buhari Ndaji. He was killed about 2 years ago inside, I think, Dansadao forest, you know, in Zamfara, by this Dogo Gide, because he stole cattle belonging to the in-laws of Dogo Gide. And they told him to return it. He said, no, that I could not return it. So he moved his own fighters to go and confront him, and they killed him, left his corpse to decay inside the forest before soldiers came later to take the corpse away. That's how the Gogi did that, because somebody posted the other day, that's how Buhari Ndaji died. Because somebody posted some time ago that Buhari Ndaji has been killed by Nigerian troops. He was not killed by Nigerian troops. Every effort that we made, we couldn't kill him until one of his boys killed him. Now, Dogo Gide ran away from the Zamfara area because he knew that Buhari Ndaji's boys will retaliate, they will come for him. He now went and set up his own base in Niger State. So he's controlling that area right up to all this Kagara, Rafi local government, right up to the border with Katsina State, you know, the Funtua Road, where the slaughters of policemen, where bandit slaughters of policemen, I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we know their leaders. We've not been able to kill the leaders. Bandits slaughtered 18 soldiers in Shimfida in Katsina State last year. 18 soldiers, including an army captain. We did not retaliate till today, because my own view, when you are talking about retaliation, you know where their camp is. Have we succeeded in exterminating them from that camp and killing the leader of the group? We know the leaders. We have not killed any of the leaders.
DKB, in Zamfara alone, if you are able to assemble the number of bandits, did you see that picture or the video?
I saw it.
And if you are talking about the ones that they've headed southwest, southeast.
Heading southward.
And you know the damages they've wreaked so far. And it's as if we've lost control.
Yeah, we've lost control a long time ago. And what we were doing, or what this government was doing, was basically to ramp up the propaganda machine. Even last week, they still what I call the L4 syndrome. Government was accusing people of trying to criticize the government for an action they've not taken. That means already preparing the mind that whatever you're going to criticize us for next week, we are going to demonize you anyway. So that to me is the danger here. There seems to be some people in this government who have made up their mind not to tell Nigerians the truth. And that's the danger that we face as a nation. The problem we have is beyond pretending. that we are dealing with bandits. We are in the middle of a low-scale war. And the war we are facing today will consume everybody if drastic action is not taken. If you remember, there are some countries who are dealing with terrorists on a daily basis. What they do is what they call proportional response to every attack. We've not been able to do that. At the moment you don't do that, you are empowering the bandits to do. Because the reality that we face is this. Anytime they kill our soldiers and kill our policemen, and nothing was done, a new set of people will assume that we don't have the capacity to respond. And it's that lack of capacity that is fueling this crisis to spread all over the country. But some people are still hell-bent on maintaining the current structure, despite the fact that it has failed woefully in tackling the problems that we face in the last 5 years. And if we don't move ahead to quickly look for other solutions beyond the normal ones we have, this war is not a conventional war. It is a guerrilla war. And we keep fighting it as we are fighting conventional army. And that, to me, will be the death of us all if you are not careful.
And government must be very, very honest, and we must sit down to address, when the service chiefs, when they were sworn in, the president made a statement declaring like a state of emergency on the state of insecurity in Nigeria, and that is the situation. And that means if Mr. President knows that much, what is happening in the southern and northern part of the country might not be strange to Mr. President, because people that are traveling by road every day today, the testimony they come to give is not funny at all.
Yes, and I believe that the president is aware of these problems, is aware of the extent of the problem. His own in-law has been kidnapped before while he was in Daura, you know. So, no, not really when he was in Daura. In Daura, his hometown, his in-law was kidnapped. And the place where the kidnap took place was not really far from the president's. So, the truth is, everyone knows the extent of the problem, but we are not prepared to admit that that problem is as bad as it is now. We are prepared to continue to say, oh, it's not as bad as when we came in 2015. Nobody has asked to do compare and contrast.
It's not a competition.
Yes, this is not a WAEC examination where they will say compare and contrast the reign of Mansa Musa with that of other leaders of Mali before him. Nobody has asked you that question. Let Nigerians be able to say that, look, the company is safer now than that time. That people are not bombing us the way they used to bomb us does not mean that the country is safer. It just means that that phase is gone. No attack, nobody is bombing Abuja metropolis the way it used to happen. But kidnappers are going to people's homes now to kidnap them.
In Abuja?
In Abuja, Kubwa. They go into your house, kidnap you. All those satellite towns.
One state you've always been talking about is Taraba. And today I was told that a chairman of the political party was actually Nigerian Labour Congress, Taraba State, in his house.
That has been happening for some time. That has been happening for some time. The last time I went to Taraba, for every day that I stayed there, I was prepared for the possibility of being kidnapped. For every day, because I knew it would happen. You know, there was just no security. Why should people break into people's homes to kidnap them? Security, but these things were not happening in our country before. In the past, we enjoy traveling. You especially, you wake up, one day you make up your mind that you are going to Ilorin, and you just go.
I'll drive to Ilorin.
You just go. They say, you have gone to Ilorin again.
Drive to Benin.
Me, when I first got to Lagos, and I was finding it difficult to settle down, every Friday after producing the weekend edition of PM News, then I was editor of PM News, I will enter a night bus going to Kano. And I did that for no less than 3 months, every Friday. Because the friends I had were there.
The life you
had. And I enjoyed the life.
Go to Kano.
I go to Kano.
By road.
Then I will now leave Kano. I will leave Kano late on Sunday night.
So that I can resume.
And get here 6 a.m.
6, 7 a.m.
to produce the Monday paper. That's what I was doing. It was all Dia Ofemo that stopped me. When they said you are a fool, the thing that you go to do look for in Kano, they are here in abundance. You know, of course, one was not married at the time. So he was trying to guess what I was looking for in Kano. You know, that old man. He was trying to guess what I was looking for. He stopped me. He had been monitoring me for some time. I would stand in front of our office. Our office was in Ogba that time. Where you now have Sweet Sensation. Yes. I would stand, I would take a bike straight from that place. He would take me to Ido. I'm going to Kano. I didn't like Lagos. From Kano, even during the weekend, I would still go to Kaduna.
The country,
you know,
was that time.
Yes. We enjoyed it. And most of the time it was in the night that we were traveling. Today, if you leave Abuja anything from 2 o'clock and you say you are going to Jos, you may regret it.
Okay, I have Kaide from Lagos. Thank you for calling us.
Hello?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I want to add my voice to what we are discussing.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Kaide, you are on live.
Yeah, please, I want to add my voice to your discussion there about this bandit.
All right.
I really appreciate Buhari for his information that they have been rolling out. But I don't know if you can consider one thing. There is something going on the social media that our leaders.
Are you there, Kaide? Okay, we lost Kaide. No. GKB, what did what he said earlier, and a lot of these night buses now is not the way it used to be.
No.
Despite the fact that most Nigerians cannot afford flying.
No, we cannot.
But they want to just travel the night and everything. But when you go and most of them, the way they travel together, the amount they invest in security. At the point in time, those security vehicles, these firms, they were even complaining that they were going to drop too, that the rate of kidnappings.
Yes, there was a time, like you said, that you can get to Abuja at 6 a.m. in the morning, do whatever business you want in Abuja for the day. I still take the night bus back to Lagos without anybody getting anywhere. I think the challenge we face on our roads is beyond what we think it is. They've abandoned bombing because it's not as lucrative as kidnapping. These things are in phases. That phase is gone. And then unless and until we get to a point where we can block the flow of money to kidnappers, then we cannot really solve this problem as we look at it. What we need to do now, and I've told people many times, those who want to travel by road, is that going in the convoy does not really stop the kidnapping.
No.
It only makes it worse. What we need to do is like what they do in all those war-torn areas. And they've been doing it in the north before. Remember, even when they did it in the north, where the UN and all that, they were still kidnapped. That's why moving in a heavily armed convoy.
Yes, no matter how, it's just God that saves.
Yeah.
I've seen policemen, not less than 6 of them, well armed, accompanying expatriates along Abuja Kaduna Highway, and they attacked those policemen, killed them, and took away those expatriates.
Yeah.
So, because even in the vehicle, as you are driving, you are kind of trapped. The one who is hiding in the bush
That's all the options.
is freer to deliver.
The killer blow.
Yes, you are in the car before you come
restricted.
down and all that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that easy.
And before you respond,
Before you respond, they've achieved their aim. The big people that are kidnapped, they have their security, but they take out the security.
kill
They
them.
take out the security, and it's easy to do. For example, if these guys have RPGs now, and they have general purpose machine guns,
So they can stop
some of
any
them were
vehicle.
paraded the other day.
Any
So
vehicle.
if a vehicle, usually your own vehicle, the security people will be at the back. If there are two, one will be in front. What they need to do is take out,
Those two.
yes, and isolate
And you
the vehicle carrying
then
the,
become a sitting duck.
yes, the vehicle carrying the VIP. They will take and they will achieve their aim.
Which leads to the theory that those people have what they call superior intelligence. I don't want to
And
accuse.
some form of training in weapons.
I don't want to accuse the army or the police, but generally that's what people think.
BKO, let's go to what the camp president, that's Samson Ayokule, is asking President Muhammadu Buhari to do now. He has urged the president to seek help from Israel, specifically United States and other countries.
That have experience
saying
in
because of this banditry, kidnapping, ravaging the country.
You see, when we are in this kind of situation, the kind of challenges that we face, it makes sense to reach out to people who have gone through it. Some countries have gone through what we are going through. Colombia, Cambodia, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka faced terrorism represented by
Tamil Tigers.
for
30 years.
25 years. Eventually, they won. And that was the end of Tamil Tigers. So when people say, no, terrorism cannot be defeated, it's a lie. History shows that some countries have defeated terrorism. So we need to, Obasanjo even suggested it some time ago that we need to learn from the Sri Lankans. How did they do it? How did they defeat Tamil Tigers? That is one. For the Americans, they have so much weapons. And that's why they are the greatest fighting force in the world.
We started that
currently.
series last week.
Now, a country that has more than 14,000 aircraft,
14,000.
the U.S. Army has more than 14,000 aircraft. And the country that comes closest to them has in the region of 4,800 aircraft.
Oh, see the gap.
Yes. So that kind of a country
Tell us
like America,
the second country, the one with 4,000.
800, the Russians. Now, a country like that, there's a lot that you can benefit from them. They have every weapon. If it is main battle tank, they always come up with the updated version that will be superior to. They don't rest on their laurels. If they come up with this weapon today, they after a few years, they're constantly researching. They will come up with an improved version. That's what they do. When they came up with the M1A1 Abrams, was their main battle tank during the Gulf War. Today, they have M1A2. So they learn what that one lacks, for example, they will put in the other one. There was a time when everybody was talking about F-16, F-15, fighter jets.
The split.
Today, the Americans, they have the F-35.
That you can't see.
Yes.
You can't hear.
You won't even know. Yeah,
You can't see it, you can't hear it. So
it will have destroyed your air defenses before you even know that something
that
is
is
going
playing
on.
up there.
You know, they came up with the stealth technology in the 80s. Remember those stealth, the F-1178 stealth fighters were used when they invaded Panama. In December, I think December 22, 1989, they used it to test the efficacy of that fight of that stealth fighter, the radar evading aircraft. So by the time the Gulf War was ready, they also unleashed it. So this is the thing. they can, if we are close to the Americans, they can supply us some of their weapons, and they are undoubtedly the best.
But they don't trust us.
We are trying to get close to the Chinese. Of course, the Chinese they also have some versions,
really
but they are
good.
not as good as those ones. No doubt about it. You know, for example, as we are pushing hard into Boko Haram territory, we are using some new tanks that we got from the Chinese. They were acquired before the former Chief of Army Minister left office.
Around November, yeah.
They will never be as good as the T-72, the Russian tanks that we used in 2015, late 2014 and 2015. But at least they can do some of the job. So, and then the Israelis, they have the ability to give you that quality intelligence. That's an area where even the Americans respect them. You know, they will give quality intelligence. If we work with them,
that's one area we lack.
Yes, we are not there at all. We are not even there. In my view, we are not there. You know, if we are there, a commander of a fighting force like Operation Lafi Adole will not be saying that they were given wrong intelligence. If you listen to that video,
because they don't have the ability to double check.
General Shegun Adeniyi was saying that, they gave us wrong intelligence. So, those boys didn't allow them to advance. They moved and they were stuck in the bush. Some of their tires blown up and all that. So, the weapons, if they will supply weapons to us, if we make them our true friends and they trust us, the way America trusts Egypt, for example.
They don't trust us.
They supply Egypt with some of the best that they have. The Egyptians have F-16. You know?
What's this trust issue about?
It's important.
The trust issue is about what happened, of course, you know, at the late end of Jonathan's administration and the early parts, when the Buhari government came in and decided, using their patriotic, whatever we call it, to see that this can be done by us. So, because a lot of the contractors that were brought in through the help of South Africa and partly from the help of Israel. And then when the new government came in, there seems to be a lacuna that both parties could not get over, and so they have to leave. But even with that, there are still people in the U.S. Congress who have made up their mind that we are not to be trusted with that level of technology. That Nigeria, the current Nigerian administration doesn't have the human rights records to follow up that kind of facility to be given to them. Because they hide under that law, MWALI law, that says whoever is doing this. But you and I know that it's the failure of our lobby in Washington that's really affecting us. It affected us during the Okonjo-Iweala problem during the Trump years, and it will affect us again because we don't seem to have the quality of people to lobby. The Nigerian-American population of 1% is about the strongest. In fact, the role they played during this last election in states like Georgia and states like Wisconsin and Minnesota are very, very important. That if anybody is in this government who is thinking, it is that Nigerian-American lobby that are now very powerful that we should use to get whatever we want from the Americans. As far as the Israelis are concerned, it's a matter of knowing that if they give you intelligence, it will not come back to bite them in the behind. The Nigerian intelligence community are notorious for leaking sensitive information. And people are not very happy with that.
Okay, I have Olawale from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Wale.
Hello?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Okay, good afternoon. How are you?
It's been a while, Wale.
Hi, well, I'm Mr. My Encyclopedia. Good afternoon.
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you, sir.
Your Majesty.
Yeah. So let me be just brief, sincere. Okay? The federal government is not serious about this, about fighting insurgency. I'm very happy my encyclopedia said the government officials know the leaders of these bandits. They know their location. They know where they can get them. And they have refused to tackle them. Let me tell you sincerely, I've only been telling people at any time I have the opportunity to contribute. We have two factors that is militating against this insurgency. One is ethnicity. Two religious. Look, what does it take government from bombing the whole of Sambisa Forest? Somebody said so last week in one of your programs. And all these idols of bandits in Zamfara, in Katsina, in Niger State. I mean, the rate at which we are going,
know the size of those
I will not be surprised. By the time they finish northeast, northwest, north central, they are gradually coming to the southwest. The Almighty God will help Nigeria. God bless you.
Thank you, Wally, for your contribution. Judith, let's talk about our exploits at the Timbuktu Triangle and that famous triangle. What happened?
Well, we've always said that it is not true that Boko Haram does not occupy any part of Nigeria. The people enjoy telling that lie. You want to think that they don't even think. Because if you say they don't occupy any part of Nigeria, where do they plan their actions?
Where do they get their logistics?
Do they keep their weapons? We saw the Chadian army take out Boko Haram armory. We saw the weapons that they destroyed there. Was it not inside our country that armory was located? So, how can they group?
The government?
No, it's the people in government, because just like even the former chief of defense staff, he too lied that there's no local, that they've liberated the local government, this and that. And the speaker of the Borno State House was had to come out to say, you lied.
Clearly,
you are not even present in my local government. There's not a single soldier in my local government. And those boys have been doing what they like there. A place that you have no control of, you do not go there, yet you can say that Boko Haram is not present there. Of course, Boko Haram is present in several parts of the northeast. They have their bases, they have their headquarters, and we know where these headquarters are. You know, when General Adeni, when they shot that video,
that video that got to me.
They were told to go and dislodge them from Talala. Because Talala is part of the Timbuktu Triangle. And it's a base of Boko Haram. You know, it's embarrassing to know that the enemy, this is his base.
And you can't do anything about it.
And they are there attacking our troops from that area. He said, go and take over that area. But they were repelled. They were repelled, and they had to shoot that video. Because once you step out of Maiduguri, after a few kilometers, your phone will not, there won't be network on your phone anymore.
They've destroyed the masts.
They've destroyed a lot of the base stations. So he had to record it so that when he gets back to Maiduguri, he will now send it to the Chief of Army Staff. You know, but a wayward soldier decided to leak it. He leaked the video, and the Chief of Army Staff was embarrassed to hear one of his generals saying that they could not advance, that they were firing RPG at them. Because we've talked about this enemy and given the impression that this enemy can only attack soft targets. But the enemy, when he attacks military bases, we refuse to admit that he attacked military bases. We'll be quiet about that. And where we suffer losses, we don't talk about it. But there are ways of going about these things. Because the question people will ask is, okay, Shebi, you said they do not occupy any part of Nigeria. Why are you rejoicing that you have entered Timbuktu Triangle?
Well, is that
the Timbuktu Triangle is an area in the Damboa area, from where Boko Haram plans its ambushes, its operations on Nigerian troops. Some of them move out from there to even attack travelers. Today, the Damboa Bio Road has been closed to traffic because it's the most dangerous road in our country. Why? Because Boko Haram continues to operate on that highway, kidnapping people. You remember this case of some policemen, wives of some policemen that were kidnapped? It happened on that road. And a lot of our soldiers have been killed through ambushes in that area. So we've now decided, under the current leadership of the army, to, whatever it takes, take that area. So there are some villages around it, Gorigi, Book, Talala, all of the villages in that Timbuktu triangle, that their fortress. Once we take that area, our soldiers will be safe. The ambushes on our troops in that area, one of the worst.
How strategic is that triangle to our supply?
To their own supply.
To their own supply. Boko Haram or Nigeria.
And you know, Damboa is a gateway to Sambisa.
Okay. Okay.
It's a major gateway to Sambisa. So if you take them out of that area, even when they escaped from the Lake Chad Basin, when the Chadians attacked them, it was through that Damboa that they entered Sambisa again. So if you omit that area, you stop them, then you are denying them
You isolate them.
areas where they can hide and all that. So now, apart from that, you also keep our troops safe because they are doing a lot of ambushes now, and then through that area, they are also attacking troops, moving from that area to other places. So if you take them out of the area, the troops will be safer. The communities in that region, around that area too, will be safer. So that is the whole idea. Some communities that we had taken before, because we didn't put troops there, they came back. I know that even some of these same communities, including Alagarno is described as the spiritual headquarters of Boko Haram. We captured it before, but they took it back because we do not have enough troops to put at every location. So they went back there. So now we are pushing deep. I was speaking to a top person in the army, and he said, no, stories that we have taken over Timbuktu Triangle are not true. The fighting is continuing. And what Boko Haram is doing is they are using suicide bombers to attack the army so that they can slow the advance of the army. They are using suicide bombers. Even in the Bama area, we are also trying to take over the whole of Bama area because in Bama local government, there are only 2 towns that are inhabited by people. That is Bama town and Banki. Banki, which is on the border with Cameroon.
Bama local government.
Yes, other communities are not safe, so nobody is living in them. So we are also trying, the army is trying to take over that whole operational area. But what these guys are doing, in the last few days, they've sent more than 6 suicide bombers to go and attack our advancing army. But the good news is there is synergy between the armed forces, the Air Force and the army. They are working together. They are committed. They are determined that we must take over all of these areas, and we are making progress. It is good news that we are making
very
progress.
Good news because they are trying to isolate them, put them in a place where they can be controlled. And the way it's going now, because I know the new chief of army staff promised the first 100 days to make Nigerians happy. And taking that triangle will be a major factor in that.
Yes, and he's someone who has worked in that area. He knows what it takes.
All
of the stories that people are saying, oh, he failed as a commander, he was removed, it's all nonsense. He never failed. There is nobody who commanded Operation Lafia Dole who did not suffer setbacks. So,
and who are not replaced.
Who are not replaced at some point. And this man too, General Tahiru too, by the grace of God, he will succeed because we want peace in that area.
Yes, we want.
And our soldiers have sacrificed their lives so much. No. The best thing that can happen is for victory to be delivered to us, and it will happen. If we maintain the momentum and we work with our neighbors, the Boko Haram cannot even stand the presence of Chadian soldiers because they know they don't show mercy. And they always have RPGs.
And then we have to work internally to get rid of our spies.
Yes, I was reading something that Alhaji Dikwa said that Boko Haram has spies within the army.
You know, at the top echelon, not even within the army. At the very top echelon of the army.
They give them information. If this and I know that we've made arrests in the past. Under Buhari, some arrests, some soldiers were killed. How do they know the movement?
At the time.
They are able to get information about movement the enemy will now strike just as we are moving. You know, so we need to identify those bad eggs and deal decisively with them.
We also have to make examples of them, or other people will be encouraged to do the same.
Okay, moving on now. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to stare us in the face, despite measures to curb the spread in Nigeria. New confirmed cases of 1,588 released by the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, indicate that the fight against the virus is far from over. Now, those at the forefront of the fight to tame the pandemic are not happy. The National Association of Resident Doctors have accused the federal government of neglecting their welfare despite their efforts in combating COVID-19 pandemic. The association wants upward review of their hazard allowances within 2 weeks. Gentlemen, GKB.
This is a slight on our country. Personally, I've never really believed in the COVID task force because I just assume it's just another bureaucracy. We've been with this thing for a year now. I think it was a year last week that the index case came to Nigeria. And we've been on this matter for resident doctors for the same amount of time. And that to me is the danger because this is not what we should be talking about now. The COVID-19 pandemic has not really peaked in Nigeria like in other countries. We have no records of a particular time that the thing went down. And we just keep getting the same level of things from other people that we are getting. Right now is not the right time for resident doctors to be treated like this. The president, about 8 months ago, approved something for them. And when they made the original demand, middle of last year. So there's no way they will be making this if that has been paid. That means somebody somewhere has resumed this problem as business as usual. And it's not just using politics to do this. We have to move beyond this. The pandemic is too serious for us to play with the lives of those on the front line. That to me is the danger. Because we already are running short of medical personnel. Countries are poaching our men, and especially our nurses, at a rate they've not done in 30 years. The way we are going, we run out of doctors. Now we have one doctor to 7,000. The way we are going, we end up with one doctor to 23,000 people. So little things like this should not be an hindrance in the fight against the COVID.
Babaji, looking at the brain drain and looking at the agitation, even before COVID came, there's always one agitation of welfare, government not paying attention to the welfare of these health workers. And without that, with COVID-19, it has become expedient. If you check countries like United States of America, urging people to come and work, health workers to come and work in their country and giving very, very fair conditions. And right now, and the way these people are now migrating, what should we do to our own health workers here?
We've got to do a lot because, as we saw last week, more than 77 doctors or so, health workers infected. And because they are the first line of defense for us, it's dangerous to leave them exposed. Health workers had to go on strike the other day asking for PPEs. I think that PPEs should not even be what they will be asking for. Everyone should be provided with the right kits. But unfortunately in our country, the right kits are not available to every health worker, and this is a big problem. Even in the theaters, protocols are still not being followed strictly. Some categories of health workers still receive visitors. How will that not endanger the lives of our medical personnel? If we fail to provide the right kits, I've also heard that even some of the kits are recycled.
Most, not some.
So where you are supposed to, like even face mask,
once a day, you have to rewash it regularly.
they rewash some of them. It's unfortunate. You heard the case of the younger brother of our deputy governor that died, medical doctor, in his 30s. He was taking care of COVID-19 sufferers, and then got infected. And this new strain, everyone knows that it doesn't waste time; it kills quickly. So he lost his life. We also lost a doctor at Lut less than 2 weeks ago. We have to protect these doctors because they are putting their own lives on the line to ensure that all of us are safe. So whatever it is that is required to keep them safe,
Keep them motivated.
yeah, motivated, we must do. I've spoken about how Britons honor the NHS staff. Once they see them, they honor them, they clap for them, they stand up for them, you know, just as a way of saying that, look,
We appreciate you guys.
appreciate you, you are our heroes. I've seen some videos that are truly moving. That's the way we should treat our doctor, especially at this time, because we are in an emergency. We are in a very terrible situation. Nobody knows where this thing will end. Countries are in trouble. Look at football that unites the whole world. See now, people can't go to stadium to watch matches.
At all.
Clubs are bleeding. They can't sign the kind of players that they would love to sign because the stadiums are empty.
No revenue.
They are not making money, no revenue. They are now dependent on TV rights and all that, which is not enough. It's not enough. I've been asking myself whether indeed even the premiership season will end this year, whether it won't be stopped at some point. Because it's a long season already, and we've seen situations in which even some clubs
Cannot travel.
had so many of their players infected. Look at Aston Villa, and they couldn't honor their matches.
They couldn't
They
travel.
had to play a second string side against Liverpool. You know, so for the doctors, given the state that we find ourselves now, whatever they require should be provided. They are sacrificing their lives. They are putting their lives on the line. A lot of them are dead. A lot of the nurses are dead. So to hear
Others are
stories,
migrating.
yes, to hear stories that some kids that should be provided are not provided, or they are being recycled, is really perplexing. It shouldn't be happening.
Discouraging.
It shouldn't be happening.
Discouraging. And GKB, when you look at the way we are taking this thing, the public enlightenment, and these people, they are like the first line of defense. And when you see the way the welfare has been, and we thought with this presidential panel, money will be allocated and things will be done, at least practical steps.
Normally, in most countries, I don't want to say senior crimes because that has been abused. In most countries, when they set up task forces, it's basically for specific reasons. There's nothing that we need. The Ministry of Health cannot normally be in their budgets, or that the Center for Disease Control does not have the. But we set up another structure because we want to fast track all these things. They've been at work for a year, and when mundane things like this occur, and you wonder whether we not just created another bureaucracy to oversee bureaucracy in an attempt to stop bureaucracy. As far as I'm concerned, there should be this, whatever they need to do to them so they can go away and we can get serious people to run this thing. It is not now, 1 year into the pandemic, that doctors should be complaining. It's not 1 year to the pandemic that they should be asking for money that is supposed to have been paid a year ago. The entire purpose of the task force was to fast track things like this. But they are behaving like the normal civil service, not in the same way. What we need to do now, clearly, is to make sure this does not go beyond that. Because I've spoken to some doctors, and what they told me is not palatable. A lot of them who are not willing to travel out of the country last year are now more than ready to even take pay cuts in countries like Oman, countries like Botswana. That's how desperate they are to get out of this country.
Oman.
Botswana, Namibia. The people are just looking for ways to just get out where they will be given that respect as a human being, where there will be decency in the way they are treated. Of course, don't let me get started on the number of nurses that we've lost to the United States and United Kingdom in the last 2 years alone. We are bleeding. And yet somebody somewhere does not care.
Even dentists, they are well sought after in those places. They are well sought after, and a minister was telling us the other day that we have enough doctors. That's someone who had been completely cut out from health or medical practice. They had not been involved in medical practice for decades and decades. But he could tell Nigerians that we have enough doctors. How many doctors are we producing?
Per person.
A lot of the doctors that we even have, they are in the urban centers. Our rural centers don't have enough medical facilities.
Professionals,
There are no hospitals. People travel even for hours, sometimes to get to the nearest hospital. Even in these urban centers, the less urban part of Lagos, for example, there are not enough hospitals. Somebody did a documentary talking about how people, had to enter a boat just to get to
the nearest.
Yes, to have their antenatal.
Usually in rivers and other states,
No, even here in Lagos, the health facilities are not even enough.
They are inadequate,
We don't have enough health infrastructure.
If pressure on the tertiary health institutions.
Yes.
Go to Bagada General Hospital.
Whereas is the primary health care, some of the things that they go there for.
So they can do
to treat malaria and all that.
Yeah.
That's what the primary health centers are meant for.
And they're supposed to be in every local government. In fact, there was a time they were supposed to be in every ward.
You just don't have enough. So for someone to say that we have enough doctors, how many doctors are we producing?
And they are living. They are living in droves.
And the best of them are living. They will go and write entrance
all the consultants are gone. UI, they are a teaching hospital in the southwest. That's the best on the land. I've lost nothing less than 10 consultants in the last 6 months. These are the best of the best of the best. And don't forget, there was a time people were coming to this same hospital to treat their royalty.
Yes.
That's how good it was.
When we left trains to rot in our country, this is what we get. We are supposed to take health so seriously.
It's number 2.
But we refuse to do that.
Yeah.
We would rather spend money on other things.
On vanity projects.
We treat our doctors like they don't matter. That's why they are refusing to stay. There should be incentives to encourage doctors to agree to work in the rural centers. That's how we can really save lives and ensure the good health of our people.
To buttress what you said, don't forget there was a time in Nigeria that the regional governments will sponsor medical students abroad under the proviso that will spend the first 5 years in the rural area. That is there because there's even no more scholarship for anybody in the first place. There was a time in this country where you know that to become a doctor, your life is assured until a particular age so that you can serve your country and not go away. That is gone. We keep doing this. Our agriculture is down for obvious reasons. Now we are losing health facilities and health personnel. In the next 10 years, Togolese will be, they're already taking over our artisan problems. So maybe we need Togolese doctors and Beninouas.
The things that people have chosen to simply go and ride Okada.
Yeah.
Even those artisans who are properly trained. They've chosen to go and be riding Okada. You now want to build a house. You need someone to help you do the tiling and all that. You have to go and get Togolese to do it. And a country where we are constantly preaching to especially the foreign corporations, oil companies and the rest of that we need local content. What are we doing to even produce the right local content, that will help reflate our economy?
Everything has gone down the doors.
We are not doing that. When this brain drain thing first started in the 80s, in response to SAP and its ugly impact on our economy.
Congo and Olufalaye.
We thought it was a joke. At that time, only the best were living for Saudi Arabia, for UAE. But today, even someone who just graduated,
a resident doctor
from a medical college,
2 years ago,
is already thinking of going out.
not thinking. They're already writing exams. The
Yeah,
same day they are
exams.
doing professional exams abroad to go. In the US
To
today,
Australia,
if you bring in your nurse wife, apart to citizenship, it's about 3 years earlier than your own. It is for you to know how much they value their medical personnel. That means if you've been in the US for 10 years and you want to become a citizen, and a nurse will come in today, probably she'll become a citizen 5 years before you. Those are countries that are thinking, because what they are looking is that we need this. What about the thing we need to do for you? You want to become a citizen, we fast track it. Just come to our system. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. The new law about driving in Saudi Arabia was mitigated solely because female personnel said they cannot come in if they are confined, not to do things they are doing where they are coming from. And they realized that, okay, if you want to drive, is that the only reason why you don't want to come? No problem. Everybody can drive. You know a serious government when you see
when we can't constantly live in the past.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing that even in Saudi Arabia, the younger elements in the royalty are already seeing the value of breaking from the past. Because what is the point? So at the end of the day, it's a happier country that we'll see, and where people frontally face their problems and not think of
any ancestor
emotions and all that. Saudi Arabia, for example, 4-5 million pilgrims in a year.
in a year. That's a lot of money.
Now they said because of this COVID,
honestly.
we just need 1,000 pilgrims, and it's just symbolic.
Yeah.
Just symbolic.
Even 5 years ago, they stopped. If you have gone to Hajj before, they will not let you come in for the next 7 years. I don't know the policy now, but it got to that point.
I'm not talking about their approach to COVID, to COVID-19. One, they know that they will lose money, but they are prepared to save the lives of their people. Say, okay, Hajj, we have Hajj, but just symbolic, 1,000 persons
Per country.
will come. So it's, that should tell you that when we are faced with big problems, we have to tackle those big problems
head on.
We have to fund the health sector sufficiently so that we can encourage our doctors to remain here to help our people. Otherwise, things will get worse.
All right. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. TKB, our lifestyles, everything altered because of COVID-19. You go to the aviation sector, to sports, everything on the line now.
Well, the
You know how
reality...
it is bad.
No, we have to conform to things that will keep us alive, basically. I was at an event yesterday, and they gave everybody, 2 days ago, and they gave us a tag. Once it's 50, nobody else is allowed into the hall. And
That's good.
And that's a very big man with a lot of friends who now decided, no, I'm only inviting 50 people, so there's no 1+1. There's no number 23+1. It's only those who are invited, and once that tag reached 50, they stop people from coming to the hall. And that's going to be the face of our enjoyment moving forward. And it's not really peculiar to us. A lot of countries are also adopting to that reality. The cinema, for example, have cut down the number by 1/3 deliberately. And they're going to lose a lot of money. Because you and I know that the joy of going to the cinema is the reaction.
You can avoid those ones.
But a lot of people have to stay away. Even buses are not bringing. So you cannot run away from the reality that this has changed the way we look at the world. And it's going to be for the next few years. Not that this will not go away. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's going to be difficult to go back to the way we are pre-COVID when it comes to health and taking care of ourselves. For example, distancing will become a major factor in the next 2 years, whether we like it or not. But what I'm really afraid of is the fact that those, especially the hospitality business, that are tied solely to people traveling, those who are going to suffer the most in this, because nobody wants to travel anymore. Between Lagos, between Shagamu bypass and Odogbolu, we move past only 4 vehicles. In the old days, on a Saturday, that road would be jam-packed. And I was telling people in the car that, look, this is the new reality. Because nobody wants to risk their life honestly, so nobody will travel, unless absolutely necessary. So what we need to do now is be safe first. Then as the team move back to normal, adjust in such a reality that all of us will work with it. But after that, I don't think we should worry ourselves. Keep safe, be alive, other things will follow in due course.
Bajide, by this time next week is going to be St. Valentine's Day, February 14th. You know, our young ones still want to exploit. They still want to
do whatever they do.
They're still clubbing, and they still want to do whatever they want to do. But this is not the time.
Certainly, you can save your own life by not doing some of what you used to do. That's your best guarantee of longer life, because we've seen people younger than us killed by COVID-19. I saw a friend of mine arguing about the fact that there was an event in Lokoja that she noticed that nobody was wearing a mask. But you have an obligation to yourself to wear a mask. Don't try to say, okay, because others are not wearing, therefore I will not wear. You are not protecting their lives, your own life that you are protecting. So if it pleases them to not wear a mask, that is their problem. You have to wear it. You have to wear it. A time will come when we will have sufficiently been convinced that we have put COVID-19 to bed. And we can get
we've developed the herd immunity.
Yes, we can have our lives back. But while it is still raging, while it is still killing people that we can see, the best thing for us to do is to obey those safety protocols and give ourselves a fair chance of staying alive. It's Valentine's Day, that's the day when eateries used to be really jam-packed.
And the beach.
You see long queues of human beings who want to buy cake for their girlfriends, you know. But in the COVID season, I think government also needs to come up with some enlightenment and some directives, even to these eateries, to ensure that we do not have crowds that will certainly cause us to experience a surge in cases. The best thing is to try to stay alive.
And finally, perennial congestion at the Nigerian seaports, especially those in Lagos, the country's commercial hub, has defied solutions. As such, key players in the sector are calling on the federal government to declare a state of emergency at the Lagos seaports. Meanwhile, the completion of 156-kilometer rail line linking the port complex to the Lagos-Ibadan rail is a cheering news. The Nigerian Railway Corporation says this will decongest the corridor as more than 100 container trucks will be taken off the road daily. Let's get the detail in this report by TVC's news correspondent Ifunaya Eze.
Accessing the ports in Lagos, especially the Tinkan Island area, is about the most stressful activity for anybody to go through. Motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, which are considered the fastest means of moving around the port environment, are not spared from the gridlock. The management and control of traffic situation in the area appears to be revolving round a circle of committees and task forces. This time, the Lagos State Government Task Force is in charge.
It's a collaborative process between federal government, Lagos State, and the private sector. So we believe it's going to work. It just needs some order. What you're seeing in Apapa is artificial congestion. It is something that is man-made, and it's something that can be solved easily once you bring in order.
For over 16 years now, government has been setting up committees upon committees, task forces after another, to tackle the problem of traffic congestion in the Lagos Seaport corridor. But port users are not convinced that government intervention at this time would yield the positive result. The question why government is not deploying funds generated from the port to fix the problems here.
If you do a rough estimate, government makes more than 12 billion naira per day from the Apapa maritime environment. 12 billion naira every 24 hours from the Apapa maritime environment. Then I feel I'm taken aback that we are struggling to get it fixed.
It is an eyesore, what we are seeing. Now, recommendations by several committees are gathering dust in government offices.
They argue that even with several interventions, situations here appears unchanged. Despite the establishment of truck parks, trucks indiscriminately park on the roads, while ongoing road construction is taking too long.
The port access road did not get dilapidated over one day. It did not just happen all of a sudden. It took time. There was this decay. It depreciated over time. Before we got to this level, where was government?
It is an established fact that seaports in Lagos account for over 80% of the cargo traffic into Nigeria. Congestion has been a major problem in the Lagos seaport environment, which is why the recent announcement about the completion of the 156-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line connection to the Apapa Port Complex is seen as a welcome relief that will ease perennial gridlock at the nation's seaport. TVC News interaction with the Lagos District Manager of the Nigerian Railway Corporation affirms this.
A standard gauge to ENL, which is one of the terminals in the port, has been linked. Don't forget, we have the standard gauge going to ENL. We have it also going to APMT. We also have the narrow gauge going to ENL and also going to APMT.
What this translates to in simple terms is that once operation commences, many of the trucks lining up the port corridor would have no reason being there.
20 wagons is 20 containers or 40 20-feet container. So if I tell you I can do between 6 and 10, let me take the lower figure, 6. So if I can do 20 times 6, that is 120 or, sorry, 120 or 240. If you translate that to number of trucks again, it will give you either we're taking 120 trucks off Apapa Road in a day or 240 trucks off Apapa Road in a day.
The standard gauge and the narrow gauge rail connection is already being linked to the ENL terminal. The Railway Corporation says that the tracks will run through other terminals at the Apapa port. The chairman of the sea terminal operators sees the development as a game changer for business operations in the Lagos seaport.
It's going to be a lot of gain for everyone, because the cost implication in terms of losses that we have incurred in the last couple of years as a result of these problems of congestions of the road.
But the concern is for a sustainable, efficient rail service delivery that will not scuttle ongoing efforts to achieving a competitive port system.
We demand optimum efficiency in the way they run those tracks.
There are also plans to extend the rail connectivity to the Tinkan Island port, but this will be after the Apapa port rail connectivity has been concluded. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News.
Well, actually, from generation to generation, this has been a big problem, and the Tinkan Island, that axis, Apapa, anytime we have to pass through it, I just see most of the buildings right now. What they have here is for sale.
To let.
For sale, because things are not the way it used to be. It used to be a lovely place before the Apapa axis and everything. But right now, nobody in his right sense will want to live there because of the congestion of the area.
How do you get to work? How do you get home? After a hard day's work, being
spend
stuck in
another 4
traffic,
hours.
you know, 4 hours. You see, when we have problems, we are supposed to tackle those problems head-on, frontally, without any delay. When you allow a problem to fester, to linger for so long, things get worse. I think that successive governments left that Apapa corridor in that decrepit state for too long. The roads were not fixed, and then some of the problems that were identified as leading to perennial gridlock were not addressed on time, and then things got worse. I'm also convinced that we shouldn't have even allowed tank farms to be located in that
that
area,
axis, yeah.
because those tank farms worsened matters. Someone suggested that they could even, the government could even revoke the certificate of occupancy of those tank farms as a way of solving the problem. But how do you do that? And the penal fees that you would pay after taking that decision would make people wonder whether it was the right thing to do. So, yes, but there are signs that improvement is happening in that area. At least some of the stakeholders, the Shippers Council, like freight forwarders, have attested to the fact that haulage cost has gone down because traffic is beginning to move better now than before. So because even those haulage rates are largely artificial, caused by the fact that traffic was not moving freely. So
And they could spend days.
yes. So once traffic began to move much better than before, those rates came down. So we have to continue to work to ensure that it gets even better than it is now.
GKB, at a point in time, it became so bad that when you get to Funshaw Williams Avenue, you will still see this trailer packed.
And they give you only one
When you
lane.
go to Ikorodu Road, the same thing. It was getting scary.
Eco Bridge.
Yeah, but right now, I think that has reduced considerably.
Yes, again, but not enough. Like Jide said, we tend to look for one trouble while creating another. The main reason for the railway in Nigeria in 1903 was basically to move goods from the hinterland to the ports. That's the only reason. It was not for any altruistic reason. It was not because the British liked us. It's because they want to move goods from Kano and the hinterland to the ports. And right now, there's still the narrow gauge until maybe around August last year that was still in use in the ports. Somebody somewhere, just like happened to all our roads. Remember, in Lagos, but they used to have a gauge element where you have to weigh before you go to the road. All these are dead. It's not that we've not done this before. So what is going to happen now is this. They have to make this work. And they have to do it across all the port terminals so that the movement time will stop. Unless we do this, we are going to come back another 10 years. Well, this also becoming adequate. And that's my fear.
Joining us is Dr. Kayode Okwefa. Dr. Kayode Okwefa is the Vice Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Restoration of Law and Order in Apapa Port. Former now. And Dr. Okwefa has a PhD in transportation. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes. Doctor, in the last 1 year, when I wake up in the morning, I get your updates on Apapa Port. Now, you've always been updating me on the videos and everything, what is happening in Apapa Port. From the time you handed over till this time, what have you noticed?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I watched your pre-information and by correspondent and the comments there. Let me tell you, the situation in Apapa had changed, but our memory is very short. Like GKB said, we have traffic from the port down to Maryland, from the port down to Oshodi. That is gone. And I can tell you, since we left in effectively December 28, it is still okay. And it has a lot of things that happened. First is that MPA had announced the implementation of an electronic call-up with effect from February 27th. MPA had also advertised and is at the point of concessioning parks to be used for staging before going to the Lily Pond and the Timpan Transit Park. NPA had also restricted the stripping activities at Stinkham Port. Shippers Council had moved in and they've commenced and they are giving reports of audit of terminal operators. All these have been going on. And these are all the things we also highlighted in our handing over document that they need to take place with immediate effect. Also, is the rail line, the standard gauge rail line, he reported that it is now completed, waiting for final commissioning. So I think that's what I would say about what has happened since we handed over October 7th when I presented the report to the presidency and all the major stakeholders were present. And the directive was to hand over to the Lagos state government, who have the statutory responsibility to manage traffic on Lagos roads.
Let's go back to how things were when you were given this job and you had to face the rigor of the daily grind of ensuring that traffic moved smoothly along that corridor. What really was the problem?
Okay, we were called in on to be precise, May 22nd, 2019. That was just a day after my birthday. And we moved in immediately same day. And by 25th of May, we commenced enforcement. What were we asked to do? A lot of people thought we are there to go and solve the port issues. No. The presidential tax team was a child of necessity by presidency and the Lagos state government. The former governor of Lagos State, Governor Akiome Ambode, and the presidency decided that there is a need to find a lasting solution. Prior to this, from 2017, there have been a series of meetings. I was privileged to be part of some of them at the Villa involving major stakeholders. And a comprehensive report was developed on what to do. Also, if you piggyback, a state of emergency was declared in 2011 by the Lagos state government, which was adopted by the federal government. And after that, by 2013, a document emerged with 30-point issues. So this new, in that report, the federal government was to do 4 roads. None was done until 2016 and 15, when this government, the current government and the current leadership of Nigerian Port Authority came on board. Lagos state government was to do 22 roads. Lagos state government did 18 of those roads, and they also did so many things. I had to go back just to let us know that this issue is not new, and once before a state of emergency was declared. But in December 2016, a LASTMA officer was stoned to death in Apapa by truckers and Okada riders, and that caused LASTMA and Lagos state government to withdraw enforcement in Apapa, and that was the genesis of the current situation. I can say by 2015 May, these issues were not there. It came up after the death of that LASTMA officer. So when this committee came up, we had to remove all stationary trucks on Lagos roads leading to the port, develop a traffic management system that will be sustainable, develop an empty container return handling policy, and also to develop a manual call-up system. And what we did within the first 2 months, let me say, within the first 60 days, there are pictures, there are videos, There are reports in the newspaper. Everything was done. Gridlock had disappeared in Apapa. It was difficult on the Tinkan Apapa axis because of road construction. However, by October 2019, the corruption started fighting back. Those who were benefiting from the system and they were driven out started fighting with in-house collusion by some people in agencies that were supposed to do the actual.
Dr. Okwefa, you will tell us more about that, this corruption in the ports. We have to take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us.
Take a look. Brace yourself for an unbelievable deal.
It's a win-win.
DSTV is offering you the same mind-blowing entertainment at a fraction of the price.
Unbelievable.
For a limited time only, get an HD decoder and dish plus 1 month of DSTV Compam cut down from 18,600 to just 9,900 naira.
This is madness.
Get it now.
Wow. It's scary how they know what we like.
Wow. Because it's the best for even less with DSTV.
Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and we have been talking with Dr. Kaide Okwefa on the port decongestion effort by the federal government. Now, before we went to that break, we want to know the exact reason. What is the cause of the congestion in our port? It has not always been like that.
Yes, and then we need you to also throw some light on how corruption played its part in leaving us in such a mess.
Thank you very much. Now, when I mentioned corruption fightbacks, I'm referring to those who are making livelihood from the rots on the road and in the port. When they were cleared out within the first 6 days, they ganged up and decided to fight back. Presidency directed we should just keep them off. Unfortunately, they got some attention from the media, and that is what I want to really discuss now. Most times you hear stories about Papa, it is false. I just watched the documentary, the correspondence report, and you see, we need to go back in history. If you go to the road now, the cost of freight in Apapa has not increased. It's false news. As of today, as of yesterday, to move a truck from Apapa to the index is always to say to move to Maturi, Ladipo. It's still from Apapa port, it's still just around 300,000 naira to 350,000 for a 40-foot container. And if you have, but they report it as if it is 701 million. It is false. However, from Tinkan, it is as at yesterday around 600, 700. And as at 1 week ago, from Tinkan, it was about 450, 350. This was the price that it was before NSAS. After NSAS, there was lawlessness in the entire space. And for 5 days, nobody was managing congestion at the port, and things went out of hand. And that was when the thing went to 1.2 million. But because this corruption fight back and the speculators, those making money, they exaggerate, and the media takes it up and spread it out. Like I said, we have seen pictures. You can go onto the road. There will always be congestion if activities in the port is an issue, and that is where I come to now. We have efficiency issue inside the port. The issue is no longer on the road. So when you have efficiency issues inside the port, and the port is not operating maximally, it will spill onto the road. So the way to do it is what we have made available throughout the manual column, through the use of Lillipon Transit Truck Park, and thank God, by February, the electronic column will come up. So nobody will be able to manipulate the system. As I'm speaking to you, Lillipon is not working, and the nominated parks are not working. So two major issues that we advocated and we used that were good were no longer working. So if those two things are not working, you will see snips of the problem from the port translating onto the road. So the issue has to do more with inside the port. Now, the problem at Tinkan that is causing the issue is a lot of trucks are coming in through the waters more than the trucks can use. The picture you are watching on the screen now was taken by drone in August 2019. That's a real picture at about 11 a.m. That is Wharf Road. So what I'm trying to say is that we have issues at our port. MPA is addressing it. Chippers Council is addressing the issue of efficiency. MPA is addressing the issue of new port operation systems. And recently there was this port manual. All these things were not there before. The port manual was not on ground, so people are doing things the way they like. There is a high level of indiscipline, no standard operating procedure. Now that all these things are falling in place, I can assure Nigerians, that's the CFAX. You can see the whole, that picture was also August 2019. So I can show you picture, you will also see picture of December 2020. Where is the gridlock? So sometimes some people believe the gridlock must be there for them to leave. They must either go and create it or get the media to create it, then manipulate the cost of doing business, and that is where so the operators, the regulators must not allow it. And that is what the presidential tax team did throughout the time. I would say there's so many more issues, and I think we can get to them.
Tell us about the new manual system, this logging system that you were talking about. That if your trailer, if you don't have any business in that axis, you might not be attended to.
So okay, when we came, there was no call-up system. So what we did was to institute one, and what we instituted was that trucks must go to. We got about 34 to 50 parks that can accommodate 5,000 trucks. So we asked trucks to go in there. From there, they are called into Lilliput, controlled by MPA. And from there, MPA calls them into the port. If you follow that procedure, all the trucks are off the road. Then the manufacturing trucks come at night. The flatbeds, those who are going to pick imports, they have direct access into the port, and later they pass through this, the transit by Lilliput. Now, what is coming up now in February is the electronic call-up system. So all this manual system is the same process, but it's not going to be electronic. So there is no reason that I gave somebody money, somebody asked me for money. You can't be talking, you can't give money to computer. And these are the things that has been recommended as far back as 2013. Unfortunately, the previous government did nothing, and this government picked it up, and finally, we thank God, it's going to come on board. Another thing that is also coming on board fully is that all those nominated parks I mentioned are now being standardized. In addition to Lagos State government upgrading the Abat Bola Ahmed Tinubu Park at Orile, which was destroyed during the construction of the rail line to Marina. That park is now in concession. It's also coming up, and it will take about another 3,000 trucks. And you have a better synergy now between all the agencies of government. You have the railway coming up. Let me just correct this. Rail has always been operating in Apapa. And we have always been a rail movement, but the capacity is not strong enough. With the standard gauge coming up, like the man from Nigerian Railway mentioned, by the time you can move around 20 to 240 trucks a day, then things will also improve. So what we intend to see going
or this rail linkage have on the issue of discongestion. This rail linkage, I wanted to ask the impact. How much will it have on the issue of discongestion? The latest one.
Let me first say this. Let me say this without trying to sound bad. More trucks will still have to move by roads. So then let us just assume that because you have rail, everything is gone. So the rail is going to reduce that number. That's number one. The rail is going to increase the efficiency of movement in and out of the port. It's an addition. Don't forget also that trucks are also living by the waters. That is what you call the multimodal, intermodal system. So it's going to have a very strong positive. People like Dangote Group may have to be moving some of their trucks at night on the rail when the rail corridor is quiet, and they will see less of those trucks on the road. Then bonded terminals like CFAX will also take advantage of the rebate. All this will depend, let me give this question, on the efficiency of the terminal operators. The current rail is there, but it's not efficient because the terminal operator system is not efficient. A situation where the rail will bring in containers and it take 4 hours to offload, we make it useless. So in as much as the federal government is creating the rail, the terminal operators must improve on their efficiency, taking the containers of the wagon and replacing it with another set of wagon will be required. So it's not just for us to have the rail track, just like we have the road. So
Dr.
and that is a
Weva,
critical point to note.
another bone of contention has been allegations of corruption and extortion that has trailed a good number of the task forces, that is the military, including the Navy, that they were set up to manage and control this seaport congestion, including your own team.
Let me say it. Sorry, for correction. Our team don't have military, we don't have Navy, we don't have Army. We have LASMA, police, and FRS. And I've always said it. Go and read the report. As of September 2019, every stakeholder said there is no extortion. Everybody. Then the corruption fight back stood up. These guys must not be allowed to operate in December. And I've challenged anybody that has been defrauded, let him speak out so that we can have a pattern. Some have spoken out. Let me tell you the pattern. A member of the House of Reps sent me a text message that he just paid 2 million naira for 10 trucks. That's 200,000 for it. And I immediately replied without it basic. I said, this is not correct. It can't be true. And we engaged in discussion till midnight. And I said, can I speak to your manager? The next day we spoke with the manager. The manager told the boss, I presume, that he paid the money to the policeman of the task force. By the time I spoke with the man, he said he paid the money to somebody who he knows very well to be an exporter. So I connected him with the chairman of the export group. We don't discover that he didn't pay any task force person any money. There was another one I will mention. It involves a minister, a city minister, who said, hey, how could this happen now? I said, give me the number to your manager. By the time we connected with the manager, he gave all the contact. We all sat down. We discovered he did not pay anybody in the tax force. Let me tell you who they pay. They paid the money to a group of people they call movers. Those were the people we dislodged. They now ganged up and used the media. So they will go to the media and advertise extortion. By the time they advertise extortion, more people will come to their market. If it is true they are extorting, can I pay you 100,000 and you let me go? So they were collecting money from people. That was what we found out. I am not going to dispute that there will be element of money exchanging hands with members of the task force. But it is not what is reported. And the governor, on the day he visited, is also asking for proofs. So anybody who has been extorted should be able to speak. And recently, one of the proponents of this fake news is the chairman of one of the so-called trucker groups. He's been chairman for almost 20 years, and he has not left. He went on a radio station and said that thing happened. Then they asked him, can you? He said it's like a breeze. You cannot see it. That tells you they are the ones behind the news. So I am not disputing people are paying money. But in one meeting, I said you are paying move. You don't need to pay anybody to move if you follow the rules. It is in discipline. It is pure in discipline and propaganda and false news, fake news for those speculators to hide their cost. When they were telling Nigerians that it is 1.2 million to move trucks out of Apapa, that was not true. It was moving at 350, 250 for those who want to jog and piece container in Apapa. But it was different in Tinkan. So nobody mentioned Tinkan. So they were using the false news, which is correct for Tinkan, to sell the story of Apapa. So I just want to appeal. I think it should be investigated if there are. But to the best of my knowledge, those news, we know those who are behind it. They have been reported to the government. The stakeholders know them. And the media should not be part of those news, except the media will spend time to investigate it.
For a long time.
It's not about me. It's about the government.
Okay, for a long time, we want to know the impact of the bad roads to the Tinkan Island, how much impact it has had on port congestion.
Okay, that's another angle that I think is very good to talk about. When people talk of bad roads at Tinkan, they also exaggerate. 4 roads take you into Apapa. Igomu, Lagos Badagry Express Road, no pothole, perfect road. Wharf Road, that is from Eko Bridge, Ijora to Apapa Port, It has been constructed and completed 90% as of 2018. The later part of it was completed in 2020. That's the port gate. Now, the third road is Creek Road, linking Apapa Port and the Tinkan Port. That is the one you are showing now on your screen. You can see it has been completed. This picture should be as at 2020 May. It has been concrete. It's concrete all the way now. I think the contractor is now working around under the bridge of Liverpool Bridge. Then the final road is Apapa Oshodi Expressway from Liverpool Bridge down to Oshodi. That one too is under concrete construction. Now, what they claim to be bad road is to the extent of 2020 January. So what you have is not bad road. What you have is construction diversion, like you have on the Badon Express Road, like you have on Third Mainland Bridge now. Majority of the outlets into Apapa and outside Apapa at the Tinkane has been shut down for construction. And I think I still got information as of last week that the road is almost now ready. One of the gates is open. So because of that, there is restriction of how to move into the port. But that should still not cause any congestion. Like I keep saying, there is no gridlock. What you have is congestion from inside the port because of efficiency issue from the terminal operators, culminating in indiscipline of the truckers and their anxiety to enter the port. Now, with what is going on between MPA, Shippers Council, and the terminal operators, that is being brought under control. And when, to the best of my knowledge, up till October, there was nothing like that on Tinkan. Go and check your record. Tinkan has the best movement before NSAS. It was NSAS period of 5 days. If you go and ask any of the trucker, created problem in that axis. That problem has been off. And whatever caused it, MPA2 has taken action. They stopped barging operators, bringing trucks into the port, bringing containers into the port with their trucks directly into Tinkan. So they created a place for them to go and put it. There's also a transit path where your truck will first go before it enters the port. So what you have now, if there are any constriction, is temporary due to construction of the road, which I understand by their last report is over 70% ready. So we must commend government for fixing these roads. So it is not issue of bad roads. So where you have bad roads in Tinkan is inside the port. We need to differentiate it. When they say as port access road, there are two roads parallel to themselves. One is outside the port, one is inside the port. One bad, just now, terribly, is the inside the port, and MPA is handling that issue. It is as a result of indiscipline from port users who park their trucks on the road and start discharging their goods. That is inside the port, not on the main road that is under construction.
Dr. Paifa, I just want to know, because we are not the only port country in the world. Nigeria seems to be peculiar with the level of people parking trucks along major roads as far back as 200 kilometers from the ports. You and I know that the port of Mombasa is about the busiest in East Africa, and the road from Mombasa to Nairobi is 500 kilometers. No truck leaves Nairobi unless they are called to come to Mombasa. It seems it's peculiar to us that trucks will leave wherever they are coming from and become a nuisance on major roads, including starting new towns along major roads where they are not needed. What do you think we can do about this? We are the only country who seems to do this. Other countries wait until they are called. Because building 5,000 truck depots, bringing 2,000 truck depots, does not really look well to an outsider who know that in this century, you don't need to come to the port unless a particular code was given to you to come. How do we solve this problem?
Thank you very much. I think the problem is already being solved. In 2012-13, all these were articulated. In 2019, when the tax team moved in, the tax is coming up with an electronic call-up system. Shippers Council is doing auditing of the entire port process. MPA has provided 2 transit truck parks. The Federal Ministry of Works has constructed all roads leading to the port. The Federal Ministry of Transport has created an additional rail line that goes into the port. I'm also aware that the Shippers Council is working with the terminal operators. They've generated a manual of operations to manage how the rail brings trucks, brings container in and out of the port. Moving of trucks, moving of container by water has also improved. Our port system is now using multimodal, intermodal cargo throughput, and efficiency of the terminals is also gradually improving. So I believe, and then recently there is the Nigerian Port Process Manual that is coming up. So I agree with you. All these things shouldn't have been the normal way. Unfortunately, that was what it was. But we must commend the operators now that finally we have risen up and we have decided to solve this problem. So looking forward, what we should not allow to happen is for any of the stakeholders to truncate or frustrate any of the government agency in Canada. The electronic clock system must not be frustrated, must allow it to happen. The new process of registering trucks by MPA must not be frustrated, it must be allowed to happen. Lagos State government, last month, must sit down and ensure trucks that are not on the road. The Nigerian police must do its job to protect the last mile people who are going to manage the roads, to make sure they are not harassed and not molested. Then the media must not allow itself to be used by speculators to spread news that are not correct about the port. So if we all as stakeholders take ownership that this port is the second highest income generating center for this country after oil. In fact, Apapa is the cash cow of Nigeria, not Niger Delta. The whole of Niger Delta makes bulk money. Apapa, as tiny as it is, with just about 500,000 people, with small square meter land mass, is the second largest individual generator. So we must give support to MPA. We must support the Shippers Council. We must support the Ministry of Transport. And we must support the Ministry of Works to get the road completed. And at the long run, we must all take ownership and understand that Apapa is a port city. Trucks will always go to Apapa. Container will always surface in Apapa. However, they must not disturb the livelihood of other regions. So I believe very soon, within the next few months, when the road is completed, when the electronic call-up comes on board, and when the other operators improve their efficiency very soon, everything should be in order. At least for 6 months, from May to January 2019 to January 2020, there was no single truck on the road, even as of today. I live in Lagos, and there was 2 of my friends who came from Katsina recently to Apapa Oshodi Express, and I took them into Apapa. They were scared that where we going, but they saw the thing was not there. I'm going to encourage the media. I'm going to encourage the media to show the true pictures. See the pictures of Apapa, so that we can remove these speculators, these corruption fightbacks, these indiscipline, these who are enemies of progress of the port system, and also to advise the people who are managing our ports. They should speak positive. You don't need to pass buck. If something is bad, it's bad. If the terminal is not operating, it's not operating. I have had situations where terminals could not operate for 15 hours. All they need to do is to tell everybody, we have problem, we are not operating. For the next 15 hours, we may have issues. So everybody will stay back in their garages. So everybody must be truthful, everybody must be open, and we must allow the traffic management system, the empty container return handling policy to work. And finally, let me add this. The shipping lines must stop taking what doesn't belong to them. Nigerians are paying dearly, and that's why they rush to the port. People carry container on a truck, they are paying demurrage, and they are losing their deposits. If we need to look at all these other operational financial issues, and the government should tackle it, so that anybody who is operating business in the port can be rest assured. But let me give kudos to PEBEC, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. They are doing a lot of work in this regard.
Now, I have one question for you. It's not particularly related to the port congestion issue that we've been talking about. Dangote is building one of the biggest refineries in the world now here in Lagos. And I want to imagine that a lot of trucks will be heading in that direction once that refinery comes on stream. 650,000
PPD.
barrels per day capacity. What do you suggest that we do so that we don't experience the kind of problems that we began to face in the Apapa area?
Jide, seriously speaking, I think the bulk of this issue will be with the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, the Federal Ministry of Environment, the Dangote Group, and more importantly, any other agencies of government that is to regulate that terminal. First is there must have been an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment Study, under which you have what you call the TIA, Traffic Impact Assessment Study. The EIA and the TIA will have exposed the possibility of what you are talking about. If that has been exposed, then the TIA will have talk of mitigation factor. So if all this has been done and the mitigation factor is in place, there wouldn't be problem. There will be problem, however, if this has been done and the mitigation factors are not in place. Don't forget, it's not just Dangote refinery. You're also going to have the Lekki deep sea port in that area. So what you expect is, if this is the time to act, we need to get onto that road and figure out how will the trucks get there. I'm not aware of any pipeline currently. If there are pipelines that will take the fuel out of the refinery, if there are waterways movement that will take the containers out of the deep sea port. If they are not in place, then we have to use the road. There is nothing bad using the road. What we need to do is to make sure that there is an impact assessment study, mitigation plans are in place, and enforcement is there to ensure it happens. And I believe the Lagos government, Federal Ministry of Environment, and the proponent of this big project must have put all this in place. And if all these are in place, good. If they are not in place yet, I think they need to quickly look for experts to assist them in get all these mitigation plans.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Kayode Okpefa, PhD in Transport, former Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos, and was also saddled with the responsibility of the congestion Apapa ports until recently. GKB, you can't beat Lagos State to it. This was the man in charge of transportation under Babatunde Raji Fashola.
He was also the Secretary for Transportation in Abuja.
In Abuja.
For about 4 years.
Yes.
Sharp guy.
And he won the primaries to go to the House of Reps.
That's another part of it.
Also a lecturer. You wanted to start that story.
He was told to step down for someone who later defected from the APC to the PDP.
Not only that.
But that's a matter for another day.
That's a matter we all know.
Perhaps if he was in the House of Reps, his talent would not have shown the way.
Yeah, because even when he was made special advisor, the reception he got was out of the world. But now he overcame it, and then in fact, he's the proponent of that policy. That anytime you put on a brake in Lagos, you are wasting 7 minutes. So Lagos must keep moving. Because if you put on the brake anywhere, there are 7 minutes lost.
He talked about EIA in respect of the Dangote project. I hope the Lagos State government, Dangote,
will start projecting.
Yeah, because we are not seeing new roads.
Yeah.
And new roads, alternative roads must be built along that corridor. Otherwise,
we have that refinery is operational.
Yes.
That refinery
so
operational.
Take the
so we'll start taking this steps.
Because truckers will start heading in that direction. And if we do not find alternative routes for them, some of them don't need to pass through the city. They can come through Ekpe, come through the back, through Ijebode. If we don't do that,
and we don't do those roads,
and we wait until that refinery is ready, before we start coming out with mitigating factors, we'll have an embarrassment on our hands.
All right. We wish Dr. Kayode Okpefa the best of luck in the future. GKB,
thank you.
Thank you for your contribution today. And the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade.
Congrats for your
award.
And that's our offering.
When I saw it, I thought you said, "Are you award for you?"
GKB.
Thanks. I'm sorry for the Arsenal loss.
We'll get over it. At least we are not leaking like baskets.
Back-to-back losses.
It happens to Olugbo now. He got over it. It happened to Aresa.
Oh, one of our own, the pirated man, Asuko James. Today is his birthday. Asuko, we are coming.
My boy.
Congratulations, Asuko. That's the assignment
God
editor.
will preserve your life and you'll become something really big in our country.
Assignment editor of TVC News. Congratulations to Asuko James and one of our own journalists, Anga here. Join us tomorrow for the regular edition of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11:30. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.